Hello and welcome to Hope Hub. I'm continuing the series on forgiveness, and today I'm talking about understanding forgiveness in different relationships. Forgiveness is not one-dimensional. The process of forgiving often depends on the nature of relationships, depth of the wound, level of trust involved, and whether relationships continues after the offense. A painful comment from a stranger is not processed the same way as betrayal from a close person like spouse, parent, child, sibling, or close friend. Some relationships are seasonal and distant, whilst others are deeply woven into daily life. Because of this, forgiveness requires wisdom, discernment, healing, boundaries, humility, repentance, patience, and grace. Forgiveness is often not just a single act, but continual lifestyle of grace, humility, repentance, healing, and love. So the first point I want to talk about forgiveness in distant or close or casual relationships. These are relationships where the connection is minimal. The offender is not deeply involved in your life. Conduct can end without major consequences, and the relationship may not need restoration. Examples include strangers, casual acquaintances, toxic former friends, online conflicts, former colleagues, and distant relatives. In these situations, you may never speak to the person again, and reconciliation may not even be necessary. And important truth is that forgiveness does not always require continued access, reconnection, rebuilding trust, or returning to unhealthy environments. You can forgive someone and still decide that this relationship is no longer safe, or this season is ended, and distance is necessary for peace and healing. Even Jesus loved people deeply, yet he did not entrust himself to everyone. So forgiveness can coexist with wisdom and boundaries. In these cases, an emotional wound may still be deep, but daily interaction is limited. You still need to process the pain honestly and be able to release it. You also need to avoid rehearsing the injury. One of the ways bitterness survives is through mental replay. Some people repeatedly relive the words of betrayal, humiliation, and disappointment. Forgiveness gradually stops feeding the memory with emotional poison, and that will help you to forgive, to be free. And also accept that some relationships change. Not every relationship returns to its former closeness after injury. Sometimes forgiveness restores the heart, but not the former level of intimacy. I also talk about forgiveness in close relationships. This is the most difficult and most sanctifying category. These relationships include marriage, parents, children, siblings, and close friendships, ministry partners, and people you live with or deeply depend on. These relationships are unique because there's continuous interaction, their emotions, which are deeply involved, expectations are very high, vulnerability is greater, and offenses happen repeatedly, and roles of offender and offended often interchange. In close relationships, forgiveness is usually not a one-time event, it becomes a lifestyle. So why close relationships hurt more is because the deeper the love, the deeper the potential wound. We are wounded most deeply by people we trusted, people we needed, people we opened our hearts to, and we expected to protect us. The pain is greater because the emotional investment is greater, the expectations are greater, and the access is greater as well. This is why healing in close relationships require maturity, humility, patience, wisdom, and God's grace. So, key truth about close relationships. One, everyone will eventually stand on both sides of pain. At times you'll be offended, and at the other times you'll be the offender. At times we are the wounded person, and the other times we are the ones who cause pain. One of the greatest breakthrough in relationships happens when a person realizes that I have been hurt before, but I've also hurt others. This realization produces humility. Many conflicts escalate because both people only see their own pain and not the pain they may also cause. And healthy relationships survive because both people learn repentance, mercy, patience, accountability, and grace. Close relationships involve imperfect people navigating emotions, wounds, stress, misunderstanding, fear, immaturity, and external pressures. And people often carry hidden burdens such as grief, financial pressure, anxiety, trauma, disappointment, and emotional overload. But this does not excuse hateful behavior, but it helps us respond with understanding rather than constant hostility. Also, some offenses are unintentional. People may wound others through weakness, stress, immaturity, fear, exhaustion, misunderstanding, unresolved struggles, or poor communication. Love is constantly tested in proximity. People living closely together will misunderstand each other, fail each other, speak carelessly, become emotionally tired, and miss needs unintentionally sometimes. So again, this does not excuse hateful behavior, but it helps us respond with compassion instead of constant hostility. However, there are some close relationships which can become toxic with intentional offenses. You can forgive, but you need to set boundaries. Also, humility helps to bring change in relationships. It helps people to apologize quicker, forgive easier, listen better, and extend grace more freely. The strongest relationships are not between perfect people, but humble people willing to grow, willing to forgive each other. Remember, forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same. They are distinct. Is very important. Forgiveness is a personal decision to let go and free yourself. Reconciliation is rebuilding relationships. So forgiveness can happen within the heart, but reconciliation requires cooperation from both people. A person may forgive internally before full reconciliation happens externally. Healthy reconciliation cannot exist without truth and transformation. Boundaries and forgiveness can coexist. Healthy boundaries may sometimes require accountability, distance, structured restoration, or gradual rebuilding of trust. And healthy boundaries say, I forgive you, but this behavior must change. We need wisdom moving forward. Even God relates with humanity through boundaries and consequences. What helps close relationship heal are things like quick repentance, learning to say I was wrong, please forgive me, I hate you, help me understand your pain. Repentance softens hearts, and honest communication is also very important. Unspoken pain becomes buried resentment. Many relationships suffer not because forgiveness is impossible, but because communication stopped. Healing conversations require listening, gentleness, humility, patience, and understanding before defending, and also refuse score keeping. Some relationships die because people keep historical records of wrongs, especially when issues are not properly resolved. This does not mean memory disappears. It means you stop weaponizing the past and always communicate together. It's also important to have sincere hearts and to pray together, navigate together, invite God into the wound. Prayer softens the pride, restores compassion, brings conviction, and heals emotional distance, and help softens hearts. So may God continue to help us. Thank you so much for listening. I will continue again and touch more on key roles for the offender and the offended, and stay tuned. Thank you so much.